Architectural Builders Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Answering calls. I had a specific question about functionality of Baldwin hardware. He said you were the one to talk to, so I'm wondering if the easiest thing is just kind of, essentially I'm looking at front door hardware for my place and trying to understand functionality. One of my coworkers has a Baldwin set at his front door, and one of the issues he's talked about is it's a mortise style locking mechanism, and it has the push buttons on the inside of the jamb. He's talked about one of the issues he had was when you go out the door and you get, like, say, like the mail in the morning, you undo the deadbolt, you hit the passage set handle on the inside, but it doesn't automatically unlock the passage set on the outside. So he's gotten locked out, and it looks like there's another kind where it's just the deadbolt, but I wanted to kind of just get a better understanding of what the functionality actually is.
So what you've referred to when you said in the jamb, those are actually a toggle or a trigger or buttons that are in the edge of the lock naturally. Those are properly called stopworks. That's the industry term for that, and that term goes back to the 19th century.
Stopworks.
Stopworks. So you can have the ability to toggle that lock in and out of passage mode via the stopworks. So you have tomato. Your friend leaves, and he's like, shoot, I'm locked out. Fine. You could have it where you don't have stopworks or have the function where you need to where you need to manually lock the door every time you leave, and then your friend leaves his house and says, shoot, did I lock the door? So it all boils down to what you're most comfortable with and accustomed to. I grew up in a home where I didn't have to manually relock it, so I understood if I pulled that door closed, I was locked out, so it was in me more. But other people grew up differently where they knew they had to put the key in there and turn it every time. You can have it either way, but you can't have both.
Okay, and that's exactly what I was just trying to understand, because I'm even used to, like, just your standard cheap, Schlage, whatever hardware, where it's got a separate deadbolt, a separate passage lock set, and when you, even if that lock set is locked, when you twist it, it like disengages it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that sounds like that's not an option necessarily with the Baldwin hardware, since it's more of a classic, like with the stopworks and everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mortise lock. It's not a de-evolved version of the highly capable mortise lock that's been around for several centuries.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, and that's exactly, because I was like, this is Baldwin stuff. Like, I forget how much he spent on it, and I grew up with a Baldwin set in, like, my childhood home, and I was like, yeah, I want to put actually a nice set of hardware on my place, but I know he was kind of talking about the issues with getting locked out, and that's where I was trying to understand, like, all right, you just have to accept that as the functionality, or is there, like, an option for change on there? So it sounds like that's just the functionality, and that's something to get used to.
On his lock, yes, I would suggest that that you order one of the two functions. I personally have always lived with a key hidden outside my house, or electronic combination on a separate entry. But you're right about the quality and the caliber of Baldwin. I can speak at length to it. It's the only thing that is above Baldwin in terms of quality and maybe exclusivity are these boutique manufacturers, stuff that's hyper expensive. Dollar for dollar,
yeah.
Baldwin long-term is the right investment, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, no, and that's exactly like I said. This is why this is my first actual home, and that's why I'm kind of going through. Once I found y'all's website, I think y'all definitely have the best selection and kind of resources for Baldwin on there. So that's why I wanted to kind of give you guys a call directly. But at least that kind of helps me to understand the functionality. And then as I was looking through your site, it looks like some of the other options are where it doesn't even have like a passage, stopworks. It's just a simple deadbolt with like a 100% passage set on the bottom, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can definitely do a mortise function like that as well. Now, what your friend could also do is I'd have to think about it, and I'd have to try to study it. He might be able to disable that functionality by modifying parts on the inside of his lock case. I've modified lock cases in the past. I'd have to see that one on the inside to know if it could be done, but he might be able to to hobble it or to castrate it in such a way where it doesn't operate that way. I wouldn't recommend it, but
yeah. Baldwin's. I feel like Baldwin's like a German auto manufacturer. They've been doing it a long time, and they've figured out the right way that it all works together. So might not be worth messing with it. Might just be kind of worth getting used to that style then.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds tongue in cheek, but seriously, hide a key outside. That's what I do. Once a year.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was even talking with my buddy, I was like, this might be like something where you hide a key outside too, and you just kind of have to remember it. But as he was talking about those problems, I was like, oh, let me make sure, because I was reading about like the emergency egress style handle sets, and I was just kind of getting confused. So talking with you on here kind of straightens all that up, and so I think I got a better understanding of that. I think that kind of covers it. What I was, trying to track down though. This is a big help on this, Richard. I really appreciate it.
Are you familiar with? Are you okay with emergency egress and what that means and how that works?
From what I can read, it sounds like if the passage is locked, or like the stopworks are locked and the deadbolt is locked, when you hit the passage lever, it disengages both, so you can get out really quick, right?
That's exactly correct. And Baldwin, and to add on to that, Baldwin has it where you don't have that functionality, where you would need to retract the bolt and then you'd be able to exit. So you can have it either way. Emergency egress may not be what you want because if you have children and when they get to be 2-3 years old, they can reach up and pull on that. That's a real thing. The downside of not being able to get out is that there's now special knowledge where I've got to be in an emergency. I need to be able to know, or someone needs to know to retract that in order to exit, because you can't just walk up to it and exit. You've got to retract it and then exit. So that's a problem with little kids. That's an actual, life experience of mine and many people that I know. So that needs to be thought out as well. Or a dog, a big dog reaches up and gets his paw on there.
No, that's man. I appreciate you walking me through this, because I didn't even think about that aspect from the emergency egress set. So, man, I swear I'm going to be hopefully a little bit of an expert in this by the time I actually finish through all this. But this has been a huge help, kind of understanding these basics on there.
Awesome. Call back anytime, sir. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Richard. I appreciate the help. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.